been 4 weeks since Patty and I have been here. It's been weird. I spoke at the Unity Church. Then the following week we're going to be here, and I ended up spending 4 days in a hospital. And then the last 2 weeks or 10 days we've been in Montana celebrating my 75th orbit around this sun. You know, there's other suns I've been around probably, but this one here. And my wife and my wonderful sister, the tricksy little hobbitses, they're sneaky. On my birthday, they gave me kind of a birthday cake that I thought, but on Saturday, there was a graduation of my great niece, and at one point, I got like 30 or 40 senior graduating kids singing happy birthday to me with another cake, and you know, just special cake, raspberry fudge chocolate. Yeah. So, tricksy hobbit says you can't trust him. So my talk is called "The World is Plastic," and I'm not talking from a sarcastic, like credit card. I'm talking about the world is malleable, changeable. Back around 1980, Dartmouth College was doing an experiment. And what they did was they would put a fake scar on the cheek of a person, show them, look at the scar, look at themselves in the mirror, you know, and then they would say, now, we had this room, we're having a little cocktail, go in and interact with the people. And then later on, they would talk to the person who had the scar. Not surprisingly, the ones who had the scar said that just about everybody treated them differently. They weren't as friendly. They tended to be cold. They didn't make as much eye contact. And they kept looking at their face. Now, here's the kicker. Before they sent the person into the room, after they had looked in the mirror at the scar, the attendant said, oh, wait a minute. I have to fix it. This messed up. I got to fix it. And what she did was she wiped the scar off. They didn't have a scar. They acted as if what they believed was true. They acted as what they believe is true. I got so excited in my 30s when I began to realize that my beliefs keep me in hell or heaven. But it's my beliefs. The world is plastic. The world can change. So many of us think it's concrete. And yet, it's not. It can change. I've had so many, I'm going to give you a couple experiences of what happened to me in my life. In fact, some of the stuff I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't have believed. I wouldn't have believed that. I wouldn't have believed unless it had happened to me. But I'm going to read you something from the Course in Miracles. It's from lesson 76. I am under no laws but God's. Think of the freedom and the recognition that you are not bound by all the strange and twisted laws you have set up to save you. You really think that you would starve unless you had stacks of green paper strips and piles of metal discs. You really think a small round pellet or some fluid pushed into your veins through a sharpened needle will ward off death and disease. You really think you are alone unless another body is with you. It is insanity that thinks these things. You call them laws and put them under different categories and names in a long list of rituals that have no use and serve no purpose. You think, where'd it go? This is fun. You think you must obey the laws of medicine, the laws of economics, and the laws of health. Protect the body, and you will be saved. These are not laws. This is madness. The body is endangered by the mind that hurts itself. The body is endangered by the mind that hurts itself. So I'm not the only one who's working up here. So I want everybody to stand up. And find somebody and just look at them, hold their hand. And say together, I am under no laws but God's. Okay. Do it once again with a little more feeling. Under no, okay, this time move your body and dance a little. I am under no laws but God's. Yeah, sit down. I like doing 3 times, and I like moving the body because then it gets the thing the affirmation that I'm giving you into your body. I am under no laws but God's. This is not a talk about some Harry Potter. We're going to get them wand that controls the world, and I will have what I want all the time. The world is plastic, but so should you be. I mean, isn't it true that things happen that we have to change? If you don't believe me, just book a flight on United and watch how plastic you have to be. We just changed your flight. It's been canceled. No. And you can go nuts because my concrete is being destroyed, or you can go, okay, so we got to spend the night in the airport. What are we going to do? Do you hear what I'm saying here? You are plastic, and so is the world. It's amazing. You know, think of when we were teenagers and we believed what we thought we were. We believed we were a pimple or scrawny arms or stupid or too intelligent. We thought everybody was looking at our scrawny arms or a pimple, not realizing they were worried about their pimple. I mean, this is the crazy thing is we think everybody's looking at us. Nobody's looking at us. They're looking at themselves. And so, the Course in Miracles says the end of the world is not its destruction, but its translation into heaven. The reason I'm up here is I want to help all of you translate your world into heaven. Your world, not the world out there. You know, I'm not interested in, I have enough work with me. Marion Williamson says, the ego always says, once everything falls into place, then I'll feel peace. Spirit says, find your peace first, and then everything will fall into place. The world is plastic. Our beliefs are what hold us stuck. You know, I want every one of you at some point to question every belief you have. Question the Course in Miracles. Question God. Question Jesus. Question it. God can take it. Find out where you are, where you stand, not where somebody else talks about it. The thing that got me so much into this, that got me so excited, was about like 42 years ago. I took a class called the 6-month program. It was 6 months long. It was like EST on steroids. Based on Course in Miracles principles, it was based on changing our lives. And the reason it was 6 months long is they figured it takes about 6 months to get somebody to consistently change. And so you were consistently changed. The course of the class was $6,000 cash, paid up front the first day of class, no refunds once the class starts. They had a full day of class on Thursdays and Saturdays. Then throughout the week, there were consultations, massages, and stuff like that. $6,000. I told my rebirther, who was one of the teachers of the class, if I had $6,000, I'd be in Maui for a month. And she looked at me, she said, would you? Damn her. Damn her. Would you? That phrase followed me around. Being lying in bed 2 o'clock in the morning. Would you? And I realized if I had $6,000, I would sock it away in a safe IRA account. Too afraid to use it. I would do something, but I would not waste it in Maui. Would you? And it got me thinking. It got me thinking. And I watched 21 people took that program. 17 or 18 of them did not have the money, did not have the time. There was no way we would ever get in this program. And I watched over 6 or 8 weeks as these teachers supported people in becoming plastic and realizing that what they thought the world was not what it was. "21 people took that program. And they created the time, the money. I went to my boss, had a full-time job. I can't take off Thursdays. Not until you ask. Hey, can I come in on Sundays to make up for I have this class I really want to do. I don't see a problem with that. You know. I didn't have the money, but somehow I not only created enough money for me, but I created enough money for my girlfriend. So my 6-month program cost me $12,000. Non-refundable, gone the first day of class. I got to see, just getting into that class, where people had to figure out how to get money, how to get time. Never thinking that I could ask my boss that I could take a day off. You know, never thinking, it never entered my mind until I wanted something bad enough. Do you hear what I'm saying here? I began to see that the world is plastic. I began watching it. Everybody started taking steps, asking people, can you give me a loan? Can you give me a gift? Whatever. Doing things they never thought of doing and stretching and getting in the program. And of course, that changed my life. I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God. Say that after me. I am under no laws but God's. Yes. God's will for us is happiness. God does not have some will about, go thou and heal the sick. Go thou, feed the hungry. If that's your thing, great, do it. But God's will for us is just to be happy, whatever you're doing. God's will for us, if you really believe you were created in the image and likeness of God, then you also get to co-create. You are also a creator. There's a story. One day, God and Satan were walking down the street together, kind of talking. And up ahead, there was a man walking. And they see a man walking, and he sees something in the grass, and he picks up a shiny little object. He smiles and puts it in his pocket. And God says to Satan, wonder what that was. And Satan says, oh, he just found a piece of truth. And God says, doesn't it upset you? And Satan says, nah, I'll help him turn it into a belief. See? Let me be a little wrong here. I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say this. Jesus had a message of love, but beliefs have hardened it into something different. Jesus never said you are a sinner. But I was taught that. And do you hear what I'm saying? And please hear me. I'm not trying to make wrong. I want us to say, even question the Course in Miracles. Question everything. Is this really true? Does this speak for me? You know, how many of you, I know many of you have done this, how many of you have a problem and then you turn it over to God and you get an answer? How many have had this experience? Right. I've done it so many times where I just kind of go, what am I going to do? Oh, wait, I can pray. Jesus, God, show me the way. And I have a dream where someone comes to me or I see a commercial and I go, that's what I need. You know what I found really, really empowering, though, in the 6-month program was they talked about the concept of synergy. And synergy is where 1 + 1 = 2. But when synergy comes, 1 + 1 could equal 4. Because the sum of 2 creative people actually makes something greater than the parts. And what we found out was, I've done this with Patty, I've done this with my previous wife, is have any of you in a relationship hit an impasse? You want black and I want white, and there is no way we will ever be able to. Anyone have this one? Am I alone here? Okay. Yeah, I've had many of these. And this is the thing what we did with Synergy, is we realized, wait a minute, is God in me so small that it can't heal this? This black versus white? And so what we would do is we would say, okay, we're turning this problem over to God. We're turning this problem over to the Holy Spirit. And we will not agree until both of us have a win-win. It's not about compromise. It's not about sacrifice. It's about saying, no, I really want this, and I really want this. Okay, God, help us. And you pray, and you wait, and you pray, and you wait, and you pray. And at some point, one of you is going to say, I just had this idea. What if blah, 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 blah? And you may change some of what you want. You may suddenly go, I don't care if it's white or pink or black. I just want this. I'm not stuck with the color. And then you find I've had so many experiences where I wanted to do one thing and my wife wanted to do something else, and we turn it over and we both get what we want in ways that you couldn't figure out. You could not believe. That's for another talk. I will not tell you that story. Once again, to seal this in, I am under no laws but God's. Once more, I am under no laws but God's. Yes, that's it. So, I want to tell you something that I wouldn't have believed this if it hadn't happened to me. A lot of you know about how I had a counseling business and had gotten tubed. I ended up bagging groceries at Kroger's. 5-6 months looking for a job in programming, could not get a job in programming. I ended up bagging groceries at Kroger's. One Tuesday morning, I get a call to do a second interview. I interviewed with this guy a week before, and on that Tuesday morning, he called and said, hey, can you come this afternoon, 4 o'clock? I'd like to interview with you again. Well, I was working at Kroger's that day, but I had an agreement with the lady. I said, well, I'm working at Kroger's, but I think I can get off early. But I don't have a car. My wife's got the car. And the job was 40 miles away. And I said, can we do it tomorrow or Thursday? And Phil said, oh, well, I'd love to, but I want you to meet my partner, Al, and one of the people that works here. And Al's going away for Easter vacation tonight. So we won't be able to get together for a week and a half. Guess what? I said, I'll be there. He goes, how? I don't know. But I'll be there. And so I hung up the phone, called up Kroger's, checked with the lady. She said, yeah, that's fine. You could leave at 1 o'clock instead of 4. I'll have you covered. Called around some friends, and I found a friend who was willing to loan me her car. So she said, yeah, I'll pick you up at Kroger's. You drop me off at home, and then you go on, get dressed, and go on your way. And luckily, I had the car worked on last week, so it's like in tip-top condition. This is good. So I get off of work, I get home, dress, put on a suit, jump in the car, and I'm driving through Houston. This is Houston. So this is 90-degree weather. This is only spring, but it's already 90 degrees. I'm going through downtown Houston, and this car starts acting up. The radio's going bing, yeah, bing, bing, and the AC is kind of, I go, what the heck? I'm starting to sweat, and the gas gauge is going. I'm literally looking at it. I go, what? Oh. So I turn off the AC. So now the car is hot. Got the windows rolled down. It's hot. I'm sweaty. Gas gauge is going down and down and down. About 4 miles from where I'm supposed to meet, I saw a gas station, pulled off, pulled the car in, put some gas in. It only takes $2 of gas. Uh-oh. Try to start the car, dead. I turn to the attendant, can you jump my car? He jumps my car, close the hood, it starts up and close the hood, dies. There's a short somewhere in the engine. I turn to the attendant and says, can I borrow your car? He went, no! So I'll pay you. How much? I said, $20. He goes, okay. I said, look, you have a car here, and I'll give you my Sears credit card. I had nothing. That's all I had was a Sears credit card as to hold on to, and I will be back around 5, and my wife will come here, and I will pay you with a check. I don't even have the money on me right now, but I will pay you with a check. And he gives me his car keys. I jump in, go off to the interview. Of course, I walk into that building. I'm sweating like a pig. My hands are black from working on the car. My tie is askew. And I remember walking into the bathroom, washing my hands very slowly, and looking into the mirror, and I said, this is not real. This, doing the old Jedi, no one will notice. It's not so much no one will notice, but I am not going to use this to tube an opportunity to get a job because I had some troubles. I washed my hands, fixed up my tie the best I could, and went into the interview. I met Phil and his partner Al and another worker, Donna. We all seemed to get along. And Phil says, well, okay, we're going to have to talk. We'll get back to you later in the week. But when he sent the other two out of the room, Phil said, I got to tell you, I am just really impressed. First off, you're working at Kroger's. So that tells me that you're not afraid to do what you got to do. You obviously don't have a problem with getting your hands dirty because they were still black. And he says, but really, what really impressed me was that you're here. You said you'd be here, and you had no way how. And he said, even if you couldn't have made it, I would have given you another chance. I said, you want to be more impressed? He goes, yeah. I said, well, the car I started out in is not the car I arrived in. He went, what? You got somebody to loan your car? Yeah. And so I went back to the gas station. My wife was waiting there at the time, my previous wife, with a checkbook and all. She knew what was going on. She was waiting. And he was a lovable Oriental man, him and his wife, Oriental. And I said, who do I make this check out to? He gives me his name. This is $20, right? And his wife is saying something to him, and he's saying something back, and saying something. They're arguing back and forth. And he goes, oh, $10. I went, really? Yeah. And the wife is going, $10. Every morning, I blessed that man and his wife as I drove past their station as they went to my new job. I wouldn't have believed that myself. The world is plastic. Once again, everybody, I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. Right. I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. God, I love you guys. So I'm going to close with a thing from the Course in Miracles. I just love this prayer. Simply do this. Be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is. Lay aside all concepts you've learned about the world, all images you hold about yourself. Empty your mind of everything it thinks is either true or false or good or bad. Of every thought it judges worthy and all the ideas of which it is ashamed. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you one thought the past has taught, nor one belief you ever learned before from everything. Forget this world, forget this course, and come with holy, empty hands unto your God. We are under no laws but God's. Bless you all. Bless God. Namaste.